Hello, everyone, and welcome to Career Tip Tuesday. I am the founder, Sherry Sims, and welcome to Black Career Women's Network Career Tip Tuesday. So we're going to be diving into a topic that is near and dear to me today. So Makeda, she's trying to log in. She's having a little bit of technical difficulty, but she is going to be joining us today. So we'll be waiting for her. She'll chime on in once she's able to get logged in. But I want to talk about a topic that is necessary in today's career climate. And two, because we're going into a season to where we're going to kind of start to have some winding down time with the fall, holidays kicking in. So we kind of sometimes tend to maybe relax a little bit more, spend more time with our families, and kind of maybe not be as focused on our career trajectory as we would throughout the remainder of the year. So I want to talk about today about the power of strategic career pauses. And the reason why I think this is important to talk about today is because whether you're feeling like you're transitioning, if you feel stuck, if you're just craving, clarity, or if you're wanting to just, really just think about what is going to be the next right move for you, then today's conversation will probably be a great one to chime in on. Makeda has joined us. Hello, Makeda.
Hi, everyone.
I'm always happy when she's here because I'm not solo. Okay, it's
Glad to be back. Glad to be back.
always glad when she's here. So Makeda, I was just talking about just drop the topic around what we're talking about today, which is the power of strategic career pauses. And I kind of want us to kind of share really quick as we wait for our viewers to start coming in. You all know the drill. Once you come in, please let us know where you are tuning in from, because we would love to know where you're watching from. But I want to kind of talk about, maybe a personal journey you've had that's led you to a place of growth, because I think sometimes what happens is society pushes us to always kind of, create productivity. But we know that the real power comes from being very intentional in what we do and reflecting on that. So when I think about how Black Career Women's Network, how we encourage women to own their career journeys, but we also want them to own the quiet times in those seasons that they're working in. I always say that when you pause, it doesn't mean you're failing just because you feel like you're not moving. I think it's it's a power move to me, because it gives you an opportunity to realign, to recharge, to reimagine what could be next, especially when we're going into this fourth quarter. We're already in fourth quarter and kind of winding down and thinking about what next year looks like. So kind of share something with us and with our viewers in terms of kind of like an example, a personal story you have had where you thought about, let me pause for a minute before I make another move.
Yeah, I think great question. I love this topic. So very, very, very early on in my career, I mean, like fresh out of college, I was a baby, right? Um, I did an involuntary pause because I got put on a pit, and um, I hated my job. I hated it. I hated the people. I hated what I was doing. And so instead of actually being open and honest about it and telling my boss and telling my HR business partner so we could figure it out, I just sat and my work was not the best as it could be. So that was an involuntary pause because I had to stop. So, so if any of y'all are feeling like that, don't let it get that far, because I think your unhappiness shows up in your work. That's at least what it was for me. It wasn't that I was bad at my job. I just didn't want to do it. I hated it. And so I had to pause and I had to stop and I had to think about, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, corporate America thing, if I'm going to, be here, if I want to make the impact that I want to make, I actually have to think about
Yeah.
where I want to make this impact
Mm-hmm.
and what I really, really, really want to do and how I need to work. What I was doing was I was doing super duper mundane stuff. And I need space for me, my brain to be creative and run around and create proof of concepts and push the envelope and do some things that have never been done and be innovative. And I couldn't do it in that space.
Yeah.
I was what I was doing was very, very, very repetitive. And so that involuntary time that I had, and I thank the Lord because when you're on a PIP, you're still, employed and everything like that. I paused and I was able to think about, okay, what is it that I want to do? And speaking with my HR partner, this is what I want to do. This is the type of space that I need. We figured that out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so um, what I'll say is if if you guys are ever in that space, and I think a lot of us might be, um, kind of thinking about, okay, I'm unhappy, or I feel stuck, or I am not liking what I'm doing anymore. Actually take the time before it actually shows up and something happens where it's now out of your control.
No, that's good advice. That's very good advice that you gave, Makeda, because like you said there, and I love how you said involuntary pause, because there are involuntary pauses and then there are voluntary pauses, and you have to know when those are appropriate for you to do, right? And so when I think about um let's see, I've had multiple involuntary pauses, simply
I
because I've
know.
been in
Yeah.
certain places in jobs where I either felt like I was plateauing, like, I think I've reached this, plateau and I'm ready for this next level, and kind of started to pause to think about what's next. Um, and other ones were very strategic, just to say, yeah, I just think this may not be it. Not that I've hit that
Hmm.
ceiling, but this just may not be the right balance. So I love that. So let's go into some of the 6 tips that make for a powerful pause, or that can be make a pause powerful for you. Because we're going into BCWN is going into this next season for us around power moves. Everything that we do is strategic. Everything we do is a power move. So you're going to hear us say more about making sure that we understand what a power move really is and how we can see
Yeah.
the outcomes from that. So let's talk about what's next. Well, can you take the first one, which is documenting your pause? Why you need to document your pause?
If nothing else, for your own sanity and your own clarity, actually getting it out of your mind and on paper is going to be helpful. Actual that I think is something to do, um, that it will never hurt. Actually documenting what's going on, what you need to do, your pause, that's never going to hurt. That is actually going to help. So it's going to help you. It'll help clarify things. It'll help you get all of these thoughts and everything out. It'll help you organize. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. What do you think?
I think specifically that before you start to do anything else, you're right. You do write down what's going on. How are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? What led to the moment of you wanting to think about taking a pause or taking a pause? What are you feeling, and what do you have to
Mhm.
gain from this pause? What is it that you're trying to accomplish from this? And I always say that this time of the year is the best time to start to do something like this, to think about a
Mhm.
pause.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's the 3 things you need to think about. What led to this moment? What are you feeling, and why do you want to do the pause? Because if you do this impulsively, as Marsha would say, if you're doing this, you're supposed to do strategy over emotion. If you're just leading with
Mhm.
emotion, you may not get the outcome you're really looking for.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think when you're
Mhm.
talking about documenting your pause, those are the things that you should do. The
Mhm.
next one is reflect on your goals and values. So when you start talking about documenting your pause, ask yourself what still fits. Does this
Yeah.
job still fit? Does your
Yeah.
lifestyle still fit? You know, what still fits? Does those pants still fit you trying to get into? You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, what still fits? And then what has shifted? What really has shifted
Mhm.
and what do you want
Mhm.
now? You know?
Mhm.
Um, and you've got to know when you start to feel this restlessness or
Mhm. Mhm.
in what you're
Mhm.
doing. Maybe it's because you're that is a innate calling for you to say, hey, you got other talents and gifts that you need to start exploring and doing. That's why this is coming. So you got to really recognize it. I like the part. I really like this one around reflecting on the goals and values and asking yourself those questions about
Yeah.
what do I really want now.
Yeah. 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 Especially the values. We cannot be we can't sway on our values. Now, our values may change, but if it's still a core value of yours and you are settling, in your job or in your position or what have you, um, then that's really something to really take seriously, and figure out how you can either get that, find that, or what. But your values we can't sway on at all.
No, and maybe reevaluate your values and take a look at what values are driving your decision making right now,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Because that
mhm,
could either be a good or bad thing depending on, where things
mhm.
are. So, and you may not even be thinking about how your values are driving your decision making. So this is maybe a good time to start recognizing that through some self-awareness to do that. All right, the next one is reassessing your direction, which we kind of talked about already, but this is again thinking about, are you aligned with your purpose? Are you moving, or are you just moving out of a habit that you've had for a long
Mm,
time?
mhm. Interesting. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So as you look through this, oh, was hi Shantae, Leslie, and Katie. I think it's Clady. I hope I said her name right. Who's tuning in with us? Yeah, I would definitely say that. Think about that. Some of you may or may not be in a place where you're ready to kind of, and we're not talking about pause from your jobs. You still work and all those things,
Mhm,
but take
mhm.
some time to maybe not make any moves because you want to pause to make sure that yet that you think about what is the right next move for you, especially if you're someone
That's
who's
right.
contemplating any type of changes for 2026.
That's
So,
right.
um,
That's right.
yeah,
And
just
what you don't want to do is um, make a move and then you figure this all out and you realize you made a move that's going to make it harder for you to actually get in the direction you want to go.
mm, I like that. Yeah, because you can make the wrong decision and take two steps back, not intentionally.
Mhm,
Because there are
mhm.
times where I've taken two steps back, but it was strategic. So I can pivot to something different. And so you have to make sure you're doing it for whatever direction you want to lean into. It has to be the right move. Like you said, you don't want to have to work backwards. Or
Mhm.
you want to work smart and not hard too.
Mm, mhm. That's
So
good.
thinking about those things I think are important, because if you're not thinking about that, it can become an issue. And two, if you have a family to think about too when it comes to that
That's
decision
right.
you're trying to make.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good
you
point.
got you got to think about your family and what and making sure that what you're wanting to do is actually not going to cost them too or impact them from
Right.
what you're trying to accomplish.
Right. 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 Right.
Yep, I like that. The next one is invest in learning. Why is this important, Makeda?
Mm.
I think we sometimes forget about this one, or we may think we look at our bank accounts and say I can't invest in nothing but that electric bill.
That's hilarious, but I mean, investing in learning, the speed of change has never been faster. That's
Mhm.
why you want to invest in learning. What was needed, um, is nowadays more than likely not going to keep you there. You have to stay on top of the times. You have to stay on top of technology. You have to stay on top of lingo. You have to stay on top of the network and understanding who the power players are, who the power companies are, what organizations are the power organizations that can help out, right? So the speed of, change has never been faster. And also, it doesn't always have to cost. I mean, I think ChatGPT is a great tool for a lot of things. Now, you should always, do some backup research
Mhm.
afterwards, but
Yep.
YouTube University. Again, you have to do your own research to confirm these things, but there's a lot of free education out there, free learning, networking, can be free. Um, you do want to invest some money, especially
Mhm.
into some of the professional organizations, some events or whatever that's going to give you the access you want or the access you need. Um, so there's all types of learning out there. The biggest thing that you invest is your time. And if you're not doing that, then I think you're off base.
No, I agree with you on that. And I also think that you gave some really great resources, and even with the chat GPT, I think is great. Do your research for that. There's so many other ones too, Copilot, and I think it's another one, Claudia, whatever they call it, Claude or
Hmm.
something like that. So
Hmm.
and then you have to also think about a lot of these tools or membership associations are now infusing they're also infusing AI into their membership, into their platforms. These organizations
Hmm.
are, so you can use them as a tool, right? To ask questions and engage,
Hmm.
and make it more specific to the industry that you're into. So you're going to see, if you haven't already seen that, you're going to see a lot more of that,
Hmm.
of these industry associations, the memberships. They're including a lot of AI into their
Hmm.
memberships that are based on asking questions around
Hmm.
industry best
Hmm.
practices, resources, just general questions, all of those things. So, again, making investing and learning easy too, because if you're
Hmm.
already, you can already invest in those industry associations, and a lot of that, those resources will be in there that will have the learning for you for your
That's
industry.
right. That's
Hmm.
right. I'm curious for the ladies on here, what have you invested in? What sorts of learning have you recently invested in, be it a network, be it a certification, be it chat GPT, AI, whatever? Let us know what you all have invested in lately. Maybe somebody who's watching, or even us. Sherry and I might learn something. So let us know in the chat.
Yeah. And I would also say too, just to kind of, be very mindful of this, although a lot of these AI tools like Claude and Chat GPT and Copilot, all of those things are great resources. They still cannot replace having a robust
That's right.
network. They just can't.
That's right.
And
No, they cannot.
you still need to have that. You still need to have that connections with a real person. You still need to have those conversations with industry
Hmm.
people in your
Hmm.
industry who can give you some real insight and valuable things to discuss. That sometimes that great chat, all these AI resource tools are great, but there's nothing that can replace a network, which takes us to the next one, which is reconnecting
Hmm.
with your network.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
right now, if you decide to take a pause on kind of being very active in your career outside of just, just working, kind of relaxing and winding down for the year, reconnect. This is a great time between now and the end of the year to start reconnecting with people in your network, going to holiday
Hmm.
parties and networking
Hmm.
events.
Hmm.
And being very strategic about schedule some coffee chats, and this is the type of the year where people are more social and engaging because of the
Yeah.
time of the year we're going into the
Yeah.
holiday. This is a great time to set up coffee chats and reconnect with
That's
people
right.
in the network.
That's
um
right.
and Leslie says she's been using Chat GPT to better understand what or how she needs to pivot career change into risk compliance and management. Okay, I like that.
Yeah. That's a good industry too.
Yeah, it
Really
really
good.
is. Yeah, risk and compliant. Yeah, it really is a lot. And Ayana says investing lots of time in the library, using resources, books, and joining conversations. I love it. Yes, and
Mm.
that's good. Your library is one of the probably the most richest free resources you
Yes, it
ever
is.
access. your public
Yes, it
library.
is. Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
it really is. And and I think people forget just
mhm,
how much information, and because think about before technology, that was your go-to, was the library.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Yep, yep.
Yep, that was your go-to, was the libraries, right? And
That's
I
right.
still think it should be. It's such a great place to access a lot of resources. So that's good. Yeah, but reconnect with your network. I challenge a lot of you who are watching to maybe set some networking goals. We have a
Mhm.
networking guide that we use in VCWM with our members to give them ways to strategically think about who they want to connect with, and they even break it down per quarter,
Mhm,
about who they want
mhm,
to connect with, and creating some of those goals. So, and I know that one of my clients recently did it. I had a coaching call with her, and I gave her the networking guide to create some networking goals. And then I went to an event and I saw her there, and she's like, I'm doing my homework. She's like, I'm here creating. She said, I've created, so I'm going to meet 3 new people. And so we
Yeah,
happened to be at the same event. And so this event was one of the events that she wanted to meet that goal. So yeah, I think it's important to get out of your comfort zone and do that and connect. So
yeah.
Clady said she uses Chat GBT and Power BI. Okay.
Power BI is a good one. Yeah.
And it says museums being in DC gives me a wealth of resources. Absolutely. You're in a great place for that. And then, oh, hi, Nia, joining from Long Beach. Yeah. So, no, these are good. These are good. I think when you
Mhm.
think about, you know, since we're still on that chat GPT part, just be, again, very careful. But it's still, again, McKee and I cannot stress enough to understand that it cannot replace connecting with live individuals in your network.
That's
And if you have not expanded your network, this is a good time to not only reconnect but maybe expand it.
that's right, y'all. And there are so you want to obviously be strategic about expanding your network. You want to look at industry networks. You want to look at company networks, but there's so much free stuff as well. Like the libraries have events to expand networks. Art galleries have events to expand networks. Museums. There's a whole bunch of free stuff that I'm sure city, local, state government has. Utilize everything that you can. Go for the and go for the free stuff too. That's the low hanging fruit.
Yeah. So even at those free events, reach out. I
Mhm.
remember I went to a free event at the art museum where here in my city, and I connected with the old with the old former with a former colleague that and I was like, oh my gosh. And when we reconnected, it was I was like, oh, okay. And we kind of saw the value in our relationship at this stage, even though we both no longer work at that organization anymore. And so
Mhm.
you just never know what, even with those free events. And I was going for the art and the drinks, of course, but I connected with someone, reconnected with someone at that. And that was not intentional because, of course, we didn't know each other was going to be there. But it turned out to be a great reconnection of someone in my network at the
Mhm.
time. So,
Mhm.
again, those are things you just absolutely cannot be, just go in with the open mind too. So if you don't have a plan, still be open to who you can meet, or who you may even can reconnect with
That's
while you're
right.
there. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And then the last one is when you are ready to return to being a little bit more active and very and looking to be very intentional about what your next right move is. Return with clarity. Come back
Mhm.
being clear, be bold, have a plan, do it with purpose, do it with power, intention, and be clear about what it is you want to accomplish. And then
Mhm.
also think about who you need to help you to achieve
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's important too, to think about what resources or people do I need to help to accomplish this next right move. Leslie says she takes full advantage of attending her firm's sponsoring events.
Yeah.
That's good. That's super good. I think you can't stress enough of that, of doing that. What do you think? So for you, returning with clarity. So when you came off of your involuntary pause, what was the clarity you needed to kind of shift out of that into what you thought was going to, what you felt like was going to be your next move?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, I I had to realize that if I do not like what I'm if I do not like what I'm doing, then it's it's going to be tough for
Mm,
me. And we get through things all the time. We do things we don't want to do all the time. And I think that that's fine for a short amount of time. But I had to really find something that I knew I liked, that I
mm-hmm,
would want to do for the long term, and that really aligned with who I am as a person, which is um, um, being creative and pushing innovative initiatives. So I had to realize that, and ever since then, I have not swayed. I have not swayed because you know yourself. You know yourself,
yeah,
and you know if you're going to be happy or not. And being happy at work at this big age, that's a non-negotiable.
yeah. And that I love that you said that because you understand what your threshold is, what your values are, and you're staying true to that, which is important to be in alignment with that. And a lot, if you think about pausing is about, also can be about realignment if you
Hmm.
need to realign what that looks like.
Hmm.
I mean, drop in the chat if you, anyone who has, if you're ready to make a power pause, like, or pause so you can make a power move, should I say. That's probably the best way to put it, because we want to know, this might be a good time to do that. And when we think about strategic pauses, some people get nervous, but we're not talking about stopping your life. What we're just saying is stopping from making any next moves in your career, and just make sure that the next move is the right move that's going to create the trajectory and outcome you're looking for. So this is what this really is about. So while you all are waiting to maybe chat to share that with us, I'm going to recap these six before we wrap up for today. The first one, for the power of strategic career pause. The first one is documenting your pause. I think it's great to start out with writing down what led to this moment. What are you feeling? What do you want to gain? The next one is reflecting on your values and goals. I think it's good to think about what still fits, what shifted, what habits are you moving out of that you need to get rid of, that's maybe holding you back from that next level. The next one is reassessing your direction. Is what you're doing still aligned with your purpose, or are you just doing it out of habit? Or are you do you have this career because this is what your family, all everybody's been doing for the last 50 years? I mean, what is this? Is it really in alignment with you? The next one's investing in your learning, right? Taking time to grow, take a course, read, explore, access those free resources like Makeda talked about. Remember, you do have an amazing library in your local city that could probably has everything you need right there if you need to. We always want to just plug that part.
Hmm.
Reconnect with your network. Let people know that you want to reconnect. Do coffee chats, schedule visits. Make it, put a plan together of how many people you want to reconnect with, or how many people you want to uh, really start to engage more with and get to know better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
And the last one is return to clarity. Is when you're ready, come back with a plan, with purpose, be bold about it, and do it with power. Power. All right. The last thing is a career smart tip. McKinney, you want to read our career smart tip?
Yeah, absolutely. So, strategic pauses aren't setbacks in movement. They're power moves. Use them to realign, recharge, and reemerge with purpose. Your next chapter deserves Oof, amen. I didn't even finish reading it. Your next chapter, your next chapter deserves clarity, not chaos. And whew,
Yes. Your
is it
next chapter.
chaotic out here? Yes. Yes. At the end of the day, I believe that we work way too hard to not get what we want in our career.
Mm-hmm.
So do what you need to do to get what you want.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to, when you are someone who is striving for excellence or striving to just accomplish the things you want to accomplish in your life, I mean, doing it without the chaos, chaos is important. Oh my gosh. But be clear about what you want. You don't want to be on a hamster wheel. So I think that's important. So important.
No, no, you
All right.
don't. No.
So I want to share with you all, first of all, connect with us at bcwnetwork.com. That is our website. We are in the middle
Yes.
about to relaunch our app, and that way you can connect with us through our app as well. But I also want to share with you all a link to download our workbook, which is the 6 power moves that every Black woman should know. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and
Yes. Yes.
drop this in the our LinkedIn activity for the page, and you guys can access that. And then that way, this would be just a good way to reflect and be supported and stay connected to BTWN as well. So if you want
Yes.
to just, I'm going to drop it in actually just dropping it right now. You all should be able to see that. Yes, I just placed it in the chat, Nia. So you all should be able to get access to that 6 power moves that every Black woman should know. All
Yes.
right. All right. Any last tips before we wrap up for the day, Makeda?
No, no, take this Q4 to reset, recharge, and reemerge.
Here is the link for the to download the 6 power moves every Black woman should know. Oh, she said the quote. Oh, the quote. Let's see. Can we drop it in the chat? She wants to. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I can drop that Career Smart tip in the chat. Absolutely. We can put that in there for you. I'm going to actually drop it in there right now for you. And it should be, well, hopefully it'll let me do it. There we go. There we go.
All
Okay. And
right,
there it is.
y'all. Well,
All
thank you
right.
for joining us. Connect with us on LinkedIn, especially you Atlanta ladies, if you are in Atlanta. Find me, Makeda Matthews, on LinkedIn. Connect with me. Let me know that you attended.
And you're all set. Okay. And then we will see you all in the next 2 weeks. Thank you for joining. We got this Career Smart tip in there also with the link. And we will see you all. Have an amazing rest of your work week. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.